Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're taking some truly abstract, terrifying statistics and grounding them in visceral reality. We're going to examine the true scale of modern nuclear weapons. You know, the numbers we hear in the news are often just so astronomically large that they kind of lose their meaning. But by breaking them down and looking at the math, we can actually grasp the sheer mechanics of modern deterrence.
70,000. I want you to imagine the devastating bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Got it? Okay, now multiply that explosive energy by 70,000. That staggering amount of destructive power is currently hidden beneath the world's oceans, being carried right now by just the United States submarine fleet. It's a wildly sobering anchor point as we start our exploration into the arsenals that shape global geopolitics.
Section 1. The gravity of modern nukes. So, let's start our escalation arc up in the skies. The B-83 is essentially the heavyweight of the US arsenal. It's roughly the size of a small car, and it relies entirely on a free-falling descent from stealth bombers. And its power? It's just staggering. We're talking up to 1.2 megatons. To put that in perspective, that is approximately 80 times more powerful than the weapon that leveled Hiroshima. It's actually designed to penetrate underground bunkers, burrowing deep into the earth before unleashing the explosive energy of 1.2 million tons of TNT.
Now, to really understand what those numbers mean in the real world, let's visualize a hypothetical B-83 airburst over Beijing. The immediate fireball alone would engulf over 4 square kilometers. The intense blast pressure would completely flatten the city center for a 7.5-kilometer radius. But the thermal radiation? That's where the true horror lies. It stretches out 13 kilometers, covering over 500 square kilometers in total. The human cost is estimated at over 1.5 million immediate fatalities, with third-degree burns reaching far beyond the blast zone. And remember, that is from just a single bomb.
Section 2. Destruction from the deep. We're going to transition from the skies down to the stealthy, devastating multipliers lurking in our oceans, submarine-launched ballistic missiles. This is where the scale of destruction fundamentally shifts. You see, the math of destruction completely changes with MIRV. That stands for Multiple Independently Targetable Re-entry Vehicles. Instead of one missile carrying just one bomb, a single Trident II missile can carry up to 8 individual warheads, and these are typically 475 kiloton warheads. This allows a single missile to deliver incredibly devastating multiplied blows across a really wide area.
Honestly, the sheer engineering of the Trident II is a dark marvel. We're looking at a 3-stage solid-fuel rocket weighing in at 59,000 kilograms. It can travel over 12,000 kilometers and hit within a 100-meter radius of its target. That is some incredibly advanced navigation. Deployed on completely hidden US Ohio-class and UK Vanguard-class submarines, it serves as the ultimate stealthy second strike capability.
Let's map this out for a second. Imagine a single Trident II launching toward Moscow, with all 8 of its warheads targeting the area for maximum effect. Yielding a combined 3.8 megatons, the initial fireball would engulf 10 square kilometers. The blast radius would stretch 11 kilometers out, and the thermal radiation would cause severe burns up to 22 kilometers away. The estimated toll? Over 2.8 million immediate deaths from one missile.
1,064 megatons. That figure represents the combined explosive power of the 2,240 warheads carried across just the 14 submarines in the US Ohio-class fleet. This is exactly where that equivalent of 70,000 Hiroshima bombs we discussed earlier comes from. And they are all silently waiting on patrol, right now.
Section 3. The Intercontinental Giants.
Moving up the escalation ladder, we arrive at the colossal land-based intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBMs. These weapons, primarily operated by China and Russia, are absolute towering behemoths. China's DF-5C stands over 106 feet tall, carrying 12 warheads for a staggering 12 megatons total. That's 800 times the power of Hiroshima. By comparison, Russia's R-36, known by NATO as the Satan missile, carries 10 warheads for a total of 10 megatons. That's an ominous 666 times the power of our Hiroshima anchor metric.
To really put these giants into perspective, let's look at some localized hypotheticals. If a single DF-5C struck Washington, D.C., it would inflict severe thermal burns up to 35 kilometers away, easily causing over 1 million fatalities. If an R-36 struck San Francisco, it would literally vaporize the Bay Area, with the 40-kilometer thermal radius also yielding well over 1 million immediate deaths.
And actually, it gets even more specialized. Some variants of the R-36 Satan were equipped not with multiple warheads, but with a single, massive 20-megaton warhead. We're talking over 1,300 times the power of the Hiroshima bomb. Why? Because it was designed with the specific, sheer brute force required to obliterate heavily hardened targets like underground missile silos and command bunkers.
Section 4. The Pinnacle of Power. So we've reached the terrifying peak of modern weaponry. We are looking at Russia's massive 208-ton RS-28 Sarmat.
It's ominously nicknamed the Satan II, and it was developed to replace those aging R-36 missiles. One of the absolute most concerning features of the Sarmat is FOBS, the Fractional Orbital Bombardment System. This allows the missile to enter low Earth orbit and theoretically approach a target from literally any direction. It could even loop entirely over the South Pole. This effectively bypasses traditional early warning defense systems, which are, mostly oriented toward the north.
To put this into perspective, the theoretical payload of the Sarmat is an unbelievable 50,000 kilotons, or 50 megatons. That makes it roughly equivalent to the Tsar Bomba, which is the most powerful nuclear device ever detonated in human history.
So what does a 50 megaton strike actually look like? If we map out a devastating strike on New York City, the metrics just completely break the scale. The immediate fireball alone is 83 square kilometers. The heavy blast destruction spans 2,000 square kilometers, and the thermal radiation covers an astounding 11,000 square kilometers. A strike of this theoretical magnitude would result in an unimaginable estimate of over 7 million fatalities. To truly cement that unfathomable release of energy in your mind, when the original 50 megaton Tsar Bomba was tested, the flash was seen over 1,000 kilometers away. Similarly, a flash over New York City would be visible with the naked eye nearly 1,000 kilometers down the coast in Columbia, South Carolina.
Section 5. The reality of deterrence. Okay, let's take a breath and look at the functional state of these arsenals right now. Impartially speaking, recent reports have cast some doubt on the true capabilities of these massive systems. For instance, Russia's new Sarmat missile reportedly blew up during a test launch, leaving a massive crater. Combined with widespread reports of military setbacks in the Ukraine conflict, there is geopolitical speculation that these forces might function more as a paper tiger than an invincible, perfectly oiled machine.
But here's the thing, the reality of the math remains entirely unforgiving. Despite test failures or theories of exaggerated strength, Russia possesses nearly 6,000 nuclear warheads. Even if only a tiny fraction of those are operational and manage to launch in a full-scale exchange, the sheer volume guarantees unimaginable ruin to the United States and the rest of the world. Mutual destruction is firmly ensured.
Which brings us to the central thesis of our entire explainer. The astronomical scale of the weapons we've just visualized proves that the real challenge isn't about the engineering of the biggest bomb. The only functional strategy that exists is absolute deterrence, ensuring that these weapons are simply never, ever used.
We've run the numbers. We've looked at the blast radii, the megatons, and the casualty estimates. The absolute finality of this information is crystal clear. There are no scenarios of victory. There are no winners in a nuclear conflict. There is only a world left in complete ruin, where everyone loses. Which leaves us with this final thought to reflect on today. We've seen the data, from gravity bombs all the way to orbital systems. We understand the scale. So in a war with absolutely no winners, is our only victory avoiding the fight entirely? Thank you for exploring this sobering reality with me, and I hope this structured look at the numbers has given you a much clearer understanding of modern deterrence.